Good morning, everyone. Today I'll analyze the poem Pippa's Song by Robert Browning. This poem is an extract from Pippa's Passes, a famous verse play by Robert Browning. Robert Browning, as you all know, is a Victorian age poet and he is famous for his dramatic monologues and the positivism which he enforces in all his poems. Now I'll start with the first slide. On the very first slide, you can see the complete poem. I'll recite this poem and then I'll explain it word by word. The years at the spring and the days at the morn, mornings at 7, the hillsides dew pearled, the larks on the wing, the snails on the thorn, God is in his heaven, all's right with the world. In this poem, Browning speaks about the positive attitude. He expects good lot of positivity in the Victorian age in which he has written this particular poem. In that age, Victorian pessimism was moving at a rapid pace because of the Industrial Revolution progressing at a good speed. That is, it was progressing by leaps and bounds. People were quite full of boredom and monotony. They were quite fed up of their life. The day to day routine was troubling them more and more. The very time for appreciating the beauties of nature was missing. And the people were just quite fed up and they wanted to leave this world. In order to generate and inject good lot of positivity in the minds of people, he has written this poem with a lesson, and this lesson is something which has got a universal go, which we can follow now also in our life. Now I'll start with the first four lines. Next slide, please. In the very first line, he says, the years at the spring and the days at the morn, mornings at 7, the hillsides dew pearled. The first four lines depict the morning time, as you can read, and the season is of spring, and it is 7 in the morning. And it is about a 14-year-old girl, Pippa, who was on her way for the industry or for the factory at a place where she worked. So she was a worker there at a silk factory, and she, by way of her routine, was going on for the factory. But on her way, she found so many beautiful things which were quite fascinating and enchanting. But she couldn't stop and appreciate the beauty of those very things. Why? Because she had to move on. And otherwise, also, she started cursing those very things. Why? Because everybody, every little creature, every creation of the nature was at the full level of enjoyment. But she was quite much busy there in her routine. So, this particular portion of the poem depicts the very routine of Peppa, and the other four lines after this paragraph will depict how these four lines are to be refuted and to be understood, therefore understanding the real message of life. The hillsides dew pearled, that is, during this springtime, during this morning time at 7, the hill was fully covered there with dewdrops which appeared just like pearl drops. Next. The larks on the wing, the snails on the thorn. Now, two creatures of nature. The larks on the wing, that is the skylark. The skylark, a bird famous for high flights, was quite busy for gathering the food, for procuring the food, and it was high up in the sky. But again, the little Peppa found that this little bird did not stand still and did not stop over there to expect the things or to curse the things or to criticize the level of monotony. It was working on, and it is a lesson for her to learn also. That is, despite of all odds, one has to work hard, one has to be workaholic. At the end of the day, you will get time for the leisure activities also, but the work must not be stopped. And in the next line, the snails on the thorn, that is, the snail still in a very difficult time near the thorn is lingering on for the coveted destination of reaching the fragrant flowers. So at the end of the day, it will reach, but now it is in trouble. That doesn't mean that it has to stop and curse and get fed up of the situation. It has to work on, and that is a lesson to be learned for Pippa as well as for everyone around. That is, despite of all odds, we have to work. In the next slide, God is in his heaven, all is right with the world. These two lines at the end speak a lot about us. That is, God has just created this universe. This beautiful whole big arena created by God for all of us to enjoy our life. After that, the God has left it open for us to curse, to criticize, or feel blessed. So, in the case of Pippa and in the case of most of us, we tend to criticize this God's creation. We tend to criticize the time in which we are entrapped. But rather than that, we must get on there with the situation in which we are, because we believe that if winter comes, can spring be far behind? That is, every bad, odd, or difficult situation has to end one day. It has an ephemeral scope. So, because of this ephemeral scope, we can expect the good things also to come. And similar is the thing for good circumstances and situations, they also have to end one day to give way to the difficult times. So, it is a cycle of life. We must accept it wholeheartedly without cursing the very creation of God. That is the analysis of this poem, and I suppose that this will help you out, therefore, cracking down the questions for this particular poem. Thank you very much.